All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is a little weird, but I think we're going to learn to get used to this. So today we are going to, if you can see the screen, we are going to go over a PowerPoint note on succession and symbiosis. If you open your Canvas, here it is. This is a succession and symbiosis note. But before you do that, I like if you can open the vocab list number 4. You can see here, have it with you so you can follow along. Number 1 through 5, they are the last note on food web that we did. And 6 to 10 will be what we're going to be talking about today in a note. So again, we'll get used to this. And I think everybody going to start getting used to this. And welcome back to our distant learning. So let's follow. First thing is you need to open your note to Cami. So you can see here's Cami. Okay, I'm going to use PowerPoint presentation through Cami, so that way you guys can also follow and see what you need to highlight and annotate. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to keep, we are going to save it for the PowerPoint. I mean for our e-interactive notebook check. Okay, so I have it here. So the first thing is the note we're going to do today is called succession and symbiosis. What is succession and symbiosis? First of all, before we're talking about that, we need to review before we left for all these COVID-19 issue. We did mention the 3 main type of feeding relationship. We did talk about producer and consumer. And then predator and prey, which everybody should know, like a lion chasing a giraffe or chasing a deer. Parasite and host, we're going to talk about that relationship as well. But just a quick review. Feeding relationship, right? We talk about there are different type of organism. You have producer. How do you know they're a producer? Well, first thing is producers right here. So if I were you, I would like to maybe circle or highlight the producer. And then they are technically photosynthesis, right? They use photosynthesis to produce energy. What would be an example of producer? That would be the grass. Another name for producer would be autotroph, right here. Okay. And then we also mentioned consumer. There are different type consumer, right? Consumer are any organism that eat producer or other consumer, and we call them heterotroph. So if I were you, maybe I highlight or circle this. Eat producer, that, right? Okay. And we talk about this too. There are different type of consumer, right? They are the one that eat only producer. So they eat only grass. For example, a cow. And we call them what? I should know, right? We call them herbivore, right? Herbivore. Okay. And then the other type consumer that eat only other consumer, like meat eater, right? Let's say you have a lion eating a deer, and that consumer is what we call carnivore, right? Carnivore. So we can highlight or circle the word carnivore. And again, this is our review, right? And then we set the third type of consumer is we'll call an omnivore, the one that eat both producer and consumer, right? For example, human. We talk about this. So what are consumer? And no, my bad. I forgot. And then there's a last type of consumer that we often forgot, right? And we talk about this. You guys, we mentioned this before we left for our COVID-19 social distancing time, and they are decomposer and detritivore, right? And the difference between decomposer and decomposer, they are bacteria and fungi. So, and detritivore are like worms. So what is the difference between them? Remember, this might be on the quiz. Difference between them is detritivore actually will eat. So worms actually have mouth and they eat through things. Decomposer, on the other hand, they release chemical and they break down those dead organism and they suck up the chemical, right? And again, without all these detritivore and decomposer, then we will have dead bodies, dead tree, dead plants lying around. Okay, so they are very important. Remember we said, and then we move on, talk about the food chain, right? This would be a food chain. A food chain is it show you who eat the producer and who eat that consumer and so on. For example, the grasshopper eat the grass. Remember the arrow? We talked about this. We did draw a food chain. The arrow we said that the arrow is, let me make this a little bit bigger. We set the arrow point to the direction of energy transfer. For example, the energy from the grass would then go to the grasshopper. And what do we call the grasshopper again? Yes, it is primary consumer, but an example of primary consumer would be an herbivore because they eat only producer. And then you have the snake. But we set this. Food chain is not realistic. It just shows one direction because we know organisms don't just, especially consumer, they don't eat only one type. They eat multiple things. So the best way would be a food web, right? Which we did create a food web before we left. Okay. And today, moving on to the new topic. And today we're going to talk about symbiotic relationship. We talk about the environment, right? And again, what make up the environment would be non-living and living things. Non-living is what we call abiotic, and living thing would be biotic, right? And we know that in an environment, you don't just have one organism, you have different organisms. For example, you don't just have human, you also have the plants, you also have the cow, dog, the cats. And since we talk about ecology, eco mean house, ology the study, ecology mean the study of the house. And again, I talk about this, it's not learning about your house, but it is learning about the relationship between living and non-living. And today we're going to move into what we call symbiotic relationship. Symbiotic, symbiosis mean when two living organisms live together. And again, you got to learn to live together so that way you have enough resources, right? And there are three types of symbiotic relationship. One is what we call commensalism, parasitism, and mutualism. And if you guys go to your vocab list, there you go. Number 6, 7, and 8. Number 6, 7, and number 5 and 4 too. Okay. So make sure you fill out your vocab list and make sure you read the instruction. Let's talk about each one of them. Commensalism is a relationship that when one species benefit, one benefit, and the other is neither harm nor help. They don't care. What do I mean by that? One benefit, the other one don't really care. For example, you've seen this before. You have orchid flower, right? Orchid flower. If you have parents that are into gardening, you might see this, right? They have orchid flower. If you go into the wild, you see orchid will grow on tree, different type of tree, right? So orchid flower benefit from the tree. Orchid flower, they don't like to grow in the ground. They need some humidity. They need some water vapor to keep them living. So they benefit. But the tree, does the tree care? Tree don't care, right? Because the orchid doesn't give the tree anything. Another example would be this. What do you call these things again? It's what we call barnacle, right? And if this is barnacle, this would be a whale right here, a whale. Right, so again, feel free to use your Cami. The barnacle, how does a barnacle is a living thing, by the way. How does it benefit from a whale? So think about that. What do the whale do? Whale, do they stay in one place throughout the year? Or do they travel, right? They migrate. They migrate from different places. A barnacle, on the other hand, are like stay one place. If they stay one place, what would happen to the amount of food that they consume? It's going to be less and less. So how do they benefit from a whale? Guess what? The whale travel, barnacle travel with it. But do the whale care? Do the barnacle get anything? Do the whale get anything from the barnacle? No, right? The whale don't care. If the barnacle want to hang on, go ahead. The whale doesn't benefit, barnacle benefit. And this is what we call commensalism, symbiotic relationship, right? How does it affect in your life? How do you, so think of one example in your life where you have commensalism. One benefit, the other one don't care, right? I'm sure some of you guys are thinking about homework, okay? Your friend finished an assignment, you then go borrow your friend assignment, you benefit because now you can copy, right? But do your friend care? Friend don't care. Your friend doesn't get anything from it. So that's what we call commensalism, symbiotic relationship. It's okay relationship, okay? And moving down, our second type of relationship, what we call parasitism, right? Parasitism. There you go. You heard parasite, right? Does it sound like a good thing or a bad thing? Probably a bad thing, right? Parasite. When somebody comparing to someone as a parasite, it's not good, right? Because parasitism is a relationship where one species benefit, and that species is called the parasite, and the other is harm. The host is harm, okay? And this is what we call parasite and host relationship. For example, right? Look at the picture. Flea. You have flea. So the flea would then stick onto dogs and pets. So how do the flea benefit? Well, it sucks the blood, food. But does a dog benefit anything? No. The dog actually get hurt. So the flea is what we call a parasite, and the dog is what we call a host. And guess what? A good example right now would be coronavirus, COVID-19. It's a parasite. It benefits from the human. So remember, we talked about this. How do viruses attack our cell? They enter our cell. They control our cell, our genetic makeup in our cell, and they will manipulate a human cell to produce more virus. So the virus would be considered a parasite, and our cell, us, would be considered a host, right? Or this would be what? Some of you probably asking this. Yes, you are right. This is what we call tapeworm, right? Tapeworm go inside your intestine. They benefit because they eat whatever you eat. They tuck all the nutrient. So that's why people that have tapeworm don't gain weight. In the old day, they actually, for lady that want to lose weight, they actually ingest tapeworm eggs to stay skinny because the tapeworm would consume all the nutrient. So that person can eat and eat and eat. They still stay fit. Nowadays, I mean, I'm sure you probably watch the Kardashian show. They did talk about model that consume tapeworm egg. Some people also ask, how do you get the tapeworm out? Well, there's medication. You drink it and you flush it all out. But again, it's something you have to be very careful. So that's what we call parasitism, right? Good example. Think of in your life, are there parasitism relationship, right? Do you have friend that benefit from you, but then you get hurt? What would be an example? Example I can think of would be, let's say you have two friends, right? One friend would like to party, the other friend actually a good student. The party one, let's say one day asked the one that like to study, say, hey, want to go and hang out? The party one is considered a parasite because he has a companion to hang out, he has fun. But the one that actually study hard, now maybe instead of spending that time to do work, losing that time to do schoolwork, so the grade go down, and that one will be harm. So a parasitism relationship would be one benefit, the other one is harm. Okay. And what would be our third symbiotic relationship? That would be mutualism. So this one is bad, right? Bad. This one is okay, right? Okay. Okay. And the third relationship is what we consider is the best symbiotic relationship, is what we call mutualism, right? A mutualistic relationship. And this is the one where both species benefit, both organisms will benefit. For example, right, we've seen this before, birds on a rhino back. So how does a bird benefit? How does a rhino benefit? Yeah, you guessed right? Bird will feed on the flea or the insects on the rhino, and the rhino benefit because it will be clean, right? And you've seen this before, Nemo, right? Fish on the turtle shell. So how do they benefit each other? Well, fish have algae to eat, turtles stay clean, right? Think of your relationship in life. Do you have a mutual relationship with your friend? What would be an example of that? Maybe you both sit together and study and complete an assignment. Both people will benefit from each other, right? A mutualistic relationship, plus, right? And that's considered the best relationship. Okay. So we have one that is okay, which is commensalism, one that is bad, parasitism, and the one that's best is called mutualism, right? And another example of mutualism relationship is what we call, you guys probably seen this before, what we call lichen. No, it's not lichen, it's a lichen. Lichen is actually a combination, right? You've seen this before on rocks or sometimes on tree. You see these little molded things. So the lichen is actually a composition of two different organisms, fungus and algae. So they work together to create what we call lichen. And they have a mutual relationship, right? They work together. They break down rocks. They break down mineral, non-living thing, and release a nutrient back to the earth. And they both work together to make up, to survive, right? A mutualist relationship. And lichen is important. And we're gonna save that for the last few slides, okay? So again, just a quick reminder, commensalism, one benefit, the other one's neutral, okay. Parasitism, one benefit, the other one is harm, so it's bad, no good. Mutualism, both benefit, is good. It's like you and your friends sit together to work together instead of one work and the other one copy each other, and the one that work on it get penalized, right? You want to have a mutualistic relationship. So try to reflect in your life, right? Do you have friends that are in commensalism relationship, parasitism, or mutualism, right? And if they parasitism, then I suggest you should leave, right? Before you get worse. So speaking of relationship of different organism, okay, now we're gonna move on to what we call succession. Vocab list, succession, right here, succession. Okay. What is succession, right? If somebody succeed a throne, that means they take over. In an environment, in an ecosystem, you gotta remember, you have the level of organization. The smaller level organization, what we call an organism. And when you have two of those organisms, we call it a population. You gotta remember, right? So check that out, the last note. And then when you have different population, we call it community, different species living together. And when you have that community living in including the non-living thing as well, then we call it an ecosystem. Remember ecosystem? And then we have the biosphere, the earth, planet, house, everything. So we know that there's many different living things survive, and we know that our planet is not new, right? It's been through so much. It's been through what we call gradual change, things that change, right? So succession is when nature gradually change in the type of species in that living area. And that's what succession means. And there are two types of succession. You have what we call primary succession and secondary succession. A primary succession, a primary succession is where everything is like zero, clean slate, blank. It beginning play without soil and nutrient, and then life will start, right? You start out from nothing, no living thing, zero, just non-living thing, just abiotic relationship, and thing will come back from that. Secondary succession is where you have some living thing there, and slowly go from small to big, right? And that's secondary. Okay, makes sense? So we're gonna talk more about that. So let's go down. So looking at this picture, primary or secondary succession? Take your time, think about it. So primary again mean nothing, no living thing, only non-living thing, only abiotic relationship, abiotic factor. So this one is what we call primary, right? Because there is no living thing, zero. And slowly you have these guys, what we call the lichen, right? Hopefully you can see this. Lichen, you remember lichen? Lichen are these guys. What do? They break down rocks, non-living thing, for mineral, and they release into the earth. So then the plant have nutrient to grow. And the plant grow from small to big, bigger and biggest, right? And this is what we call a primary succession. Maybe I change this. Primary succession. Yeah, right. So the primary succession. Okay. In a primary succession, again, no living thing, and slowly a bigger and bigger primary succession. Okay, primary. In a primary succession, you have what we call a pioneer species, right? Yeah, remember pioneer? You guys learned in middle school. Pioneer is the first person that come into an area. A pioneer species would be a first organism that enter that ecosystem. And most of the time are the lichens. Remember the lichens? These guys? What are lichens again? They are a combination of algae, living thing, plus what? Algae and what else? Let's go back. Algae and fungus, right? What are fungus? Anybody know? Mushroom, right? Fungus. It's not the mushroom that we eat in store, but this is what we call algae. They're the first. Their job is to break down these rocks and release the nutrient into the earth, so that way plants, living thing, can start growing. All the bigger living thing can start growing. And that's what we call a pioneer species. Any species that come first. Okay. This is what we call secondary succession. You have a forest fire, for example. You have some plant, some living thing, and then some remnant of life, and thing will grow bigger back again. Fire. So speaking of natural disaster, so if forest fire, secondary succession, what would be another disaster that you know of that would be considered secondary succession? Maybe tornado, earthquake, right? Things don't completely die out, living thing, so they start again. How about primary succession? Anybody know what would be an example of primary succession? No. Delete these. What would be a primary succession disaster? something that wipe out all the living things. No living things, zero, which rare, right? It will be a volcano eruption, like maybe lava. Lava will cover everything here, so all the living things are gone. But slowly, the pioneer species, lichen, come back in, and then you have more living thing, right? The next word that we want to talk about is called climax community. So when you have succession, environment change, ecosystem change, go from low to high, you have what we call climax community. A climax in a novel, in a book, would be like the peak, the story, right? The end, like the resolution, close to the end, right? The peak, climax of a movie, right? Climax community is where when the community has reached a maximum living things. For example, you ever been to an elevator, right? You have maximum occupancy, or a restaurant, number of people that can enter that, and that's it. A climax community is the same. That means in that area, you can see here, in that area, there's no more space. It maybe have a lot space here, and when it hit here, no more space. It has hit a maximum available space for living thing, and that's what we call a climax community. Understand? So you have succession, things change, but it get to a point that area does not have enough space anymore. I just imagine a town, right? You have a lot of land for houses, but it get to a point where no more space to build house. So that means that community has hit a climax community. All right, and that's all I have for this. So again, check out this note. You need to watch this video again, keep watching. So what I'm going to do is, again, we're going to start doing this more and more. And if you have any question, we'll meet on Wednesday. That's your chance to ask question. Make sure you save your note. All right, thank you. Enjoy the note. I know this is the first time, so if you don't understand or anything I can improve, let me know. All right, thank you.